Hi, I want to talk about myself today. And really, it's about a lot of you too. I was baptized when I was 13 years old. I made a covenant with Yahweh and Jesus to do what they wanted. I hadn't even hit puberty at the time and knew nothing about any, temptation that was coming once I left my childhood behind. So all my covenant meant to me was that I'd be a good little girl, always doing what I thought was right, or, trying at least. And I did that, and I did it good. I was so determined to be good that I pretty much drove myself crazy, especially later on when I did hit puberty. I felt so guilty about my sexuality that I had trouble even sleeping sometimes. When I was 16, I refused to take care of my own needs for a solid year, thinking it was sinful. And I'm serious, it about drove me insane. I had my mom up at night and seeking help, not to be anxious and fearful or whatever was going on in my head. At some point, I realized I just couldn't keep that up. And at 17, I railed at Yahweh for not giving me a husband so I could quit sinning. And then I felt guilty both for pleasuring myself and railing at Yahweh. I studied the Bible like a maniac. Even at 16, I was reading Christian magazines and pamphlets. And at 16, I won a prize for writing a paragraph or two about what some Christian magazine meant to me. I took Bible classes in college. I mean, they were required. I spent a good part of my life writing articles and books and talking on Bible discussion lists and having Facebook discussions about the Bible. Eventually, I got a master's degree in theology and a PhD in biblical studies. Taught Bible classes, both at church and in my home. I welcomed Christians I didn't even know into my home for overnight stays. And when I could, I kept the visiting preacher the week he had, held gospel meetings in our town. Once when our family of 6 lived in a 2-bedroom trailer and survived on $1,100 a month, and that was not a lot of money at that time, and we had only $50 a week for groceries, we still took the visiting preacher out for a meal because we couldn't bring him home to our little trailer. I even did something I think, a lot of people don't do or won't do. I realized as I grew older and wiser that I made mistakes raising my children. So you know what I did? I apologized. I apologized because I feel true remorse. I felt heartbroken because the one thing I wanted to get right in my life was to be a good mother. So I changed. I repented because I could. And it wasn't too late, at least not to receive forgiveness. Our children never stop wanting us to be proud of them. They never stop wanting our love. I'm nothing without my children. And I wanted us to be close, to stay close. So I apologized. And I started, trying to do better. My children never cast me aside or anything. I wasn't a monster, but I did make mistakes. We all do. And rather than justify them by saying the Bible told me to do that, or I didn't mean it, or my children are just misunderstanding, I apologized. But I don't just repent regarding my children. I repent anytime I learn that I'm thinking, feeling, or doing wrong. I have kept the vow I made to Yahweh and Jesus. I have tried to learn about them and behave according to their instructions my whole life. I certainly haven't always succeeded, but I've tried. I can't help that I no longer believe the biblical gods exist. That's not within my power. But I've kept my vow to be a good person. And I don't think I've done any worse than most people who enter a covenant with these particular gods. So, if Yahweh is a good God who judges hearts, why would he condemn me? I have done what I promised to do. I don't understand what would displease him enough about me that he'd want to condemn me. Honestly, I don't even want to live with a God who wouldn't judge my heart rather than my intellect. And my intellect is what has to believe. That has nothing to do with my heart. And especially if he wanted to punish me indefinitely for behavior that was temporary or a belief system that was temporary. And here's the bizarre thing about all of this. While I have tried hard my whole life to treat others right, and yes, failed many times, many Christians would say that, yes, I am going to hell and actually deserve hell just because of my belief system, while they think someone who murders, rapes, and does all kinds of evil can say, at the 11th hour, sorry, my bad. And they deserve heaven. And Christians call this justice. If Yahweh's real and he condemns me, I won't care. Because I don't need validation from a God who would condemn someone who has struggled her whole life to do good, and especially while simultaneously saying, come on in, to someone who maybe did really, really bad things their whole life until right before they die. So you know what? If that's the case, then Yahweh can just stick his golden street where the sun don't shine, if he has a place where the sun don't shine. And no, I'm not shaking in my boots when I say that, because the truth is, Yahweh doesn't exist. Thank you all. Bye.